Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining the InduSoft webinar covering plant management and reporting. My name is Scott Courtier, and we'll be joined today by Mr. Doug Oxford from Oxford and Ewing Engineering. And what I'm going to do is get started today by covering the agenda, and I'm going to present just a quick InduSoft company overview. I recognize a few of you that are on the call. But before we get started, just a point that, just FYI, if you've never attended one of our webinars, we cannot hear you. If you need to ask a question, and we encourage that, please go ahead and type that into the Q&A panel or the chat window from the WebEx panel there. The Q&A panel will come to us, and then we can I can read that off, and then Doug or myself will answer that at the tail end of the presentation. The other thing that I need to mention is you'll receive a follow-up survey, and if you fill that survey out and give us your name and address, we'll send you a free T-shirt just for joining. We appreciate it, and hope to see you on future webinars. I'm going to give a brief InduSoft company overview, talk a little bit about our business intelligence dashboard product that we have, and talk a little bit about database connectivity, show you a sample application that we have on our website, and that'll get you going if you're maybe not exactly sure of how to connect up to databases. It's a good one to get your feet wet, if you will. And then I'll hand over the presentation to Doug, and he'll cover their ProMon solution that they have. And just so everybody knows, Oxford and Ewing is one of InduSoft's certified system integrators that are listed on our website. And you can look at their contact information on our website. You can contact them directly or get their information through us if you want to. But then he'll talk about their solution that they have and show you how that works and what they've done. Pretty impressive application that they have, and he'll walk you through it and show you a little bit about what they've done. Then we'll open it up for questions and answer any of those that you might have. So let's go ahead and get started. For those of you who are not aware of what InduSoft is, we make an HMI and SCADA software product. It's a very easy to use product and very feature-rich and kind of an all-in-one solution. We include everything that you need to make a very full-featured HMI or SCADA application. We were established in the U.S. in '97, and we were the first in the industry to have an HMI SCADA product for embedded Windows CE and embedded operating systems such as embedded XP and the like. And we still continue on that tradition today, and that tends to make InduSoft Web Studio very efficient and very small footprint and very fast for that matter. We also were the first in the industry to have a web-based product in XML within our HMI and SCADA product, and we have a patent for our database connectivity. That allows us to connect from embedded devices and CE devices to databases that would not normally be able to connect to databases. We have certifications, many certifications, some of which are shown here. We're a Microsoft Gold partner. We've been an OPC Foundation member since 1998. We are an ISO 9000 registered firm. I should say ISO 9001, 2008. And we have lots of other solutions or certifications, I should say. We're pretty proud of the fact that out of the last 4 years, we've won the Engineer's Choice Award. 3 of those last 4 years, we had honorable mention in 2011. But in 2013, we've actually won 3 awards from Control Engineering Magazine. And this was voted on by the readership, not by how many advertising dollars we've spent. So again, we're pretty proud of that. We won 1 award for InduSoft Web Studio, the product itself, the business intelligence dashboard that we'll show you a little bit of here today, and our mobile access product, which is the ability to see tags, process values, alarms, and trends on HTML5 devices such as iPads, Android tablets and smartphones, Safari browser, Firefox, Chrome, and even now some of the latest version of Internet Explorer are HTML5 based as well. So we've won awards for those. We're pretty proud of that. And what I wanted to cover a little bit before we get into Doug's presentation, InduSoft actually has a business intelligence dashboard that's kind of the tip of the iceberg of what Doug is going to show you today. This is our own product that we have that is on our price list of what we can show. Data collected from real manufacturing environments, real process environments that allow you to see the data from either a Microsoft Access database or a SQL, Microsoft SQL database, and get that into a real way that you can see it. Shown here, basically it takes the raw data from the factory floor or your process or wherever you happen to have InduSoft Web Studio collecting data, and or just from a database in general. This product does not need to have data that's been collected from InduSoft specifically. It just needs to be in one of those two database formats. But basically this is a configuration tool that allows you to point to the database, tell it what table, and tell it how you'd like to see the information, whether it be pie charts, Pareto charts, tables, other types of graphs, what colors. And basically what it allows you to do is see raw information in a meaningful way that allows you to act upon it. So for example, if something's causing machine to stop or process to stop, maybe that's the most downtime reasons that you have. Maybe you should pay attention to that first, fix those, and then slowly work your way to the lower and lower numbers as far as time goes. And this allows you to make your machine or your process more efficient over time. And when you see Doug's application, it's going to be so much more in-depth and so much more visual than this. But this is a very good product to be kind of a first pass to grab your information. How this product works is basically it can connect to either a Microsoft SQL Server, or it could be SQL Server Express, which is the free version of that, or you can connect to Microsoft Access MDB files as well. So right now it supports those two files. If you need something other than that, let us know. And then really what you do is you configure and customize your own dashboards. In the previous slide, there was 3 panels. It could be 2 side by side. It could be 1 that takes up the full screen. And it kind of walks you through using built-in wizards on how to configure that. And then you, with security, you can assign users and access levels and things of that nature. And then you can view those dashboards either on the main product or on thin clients running on different devices or tablets or smartphones. And then you can save those dashboards as PDF reports. There's a built-in PDF writer included in this, and you can also send them directly to the default printer that's on that particular PC. And basically then you can take the information that you've seen and fold it back into your system and understand what to improve and get return on your investment with a very low cost of ownership. Total cost of ownership for this product is extremely low. Based on what returns you'll get out of this. So let's talk briefly about the database connectivity that we have. Built into InduSoft Web Studio, we can connect to just about any SQL relational database. In fact, if it's SQL related, we can probably talk to it. So there's Microsoft SQL Server, there's Oracle, Sybase, MySQL. We can even talk to historians by other vendors, including something like OSI Pi as a historian. We can even work with Microsoft Access or Excel and treat those as databases and interact with them as databases. For example, Excel is not a database, but we can treat it like one and interact and work with it. Microsoft Access, from a simplistic standpoint, might be good for a small database, but we really don't recommend Microsoft Access for large data collection environments. We're going to recommend something like a MySQL or a SQL Server Express, which is again free. This is based on standard technologies that are available in the industry, and because of that, it makes it easy and compatible to connect up to those devices, those databases, I should say. And something to note, we have built into the product redundancy and store and forward capabilities that, again, are built into the product and allow you to get the most uptime for what you're trying to do by using those features. Another feature that should be pointed out is within the product, we have features for alarms and events and trending and a grid object and some other objects. And built into those are configuration menus so that you really don't need to write SQL commands, SQL statements to be able to get information in and out of the database. You can just configure those and how it points to the database, and the information will come or go as needed, and you don't even really need to know database programming, if you will, or SQL statements. So that's very nice. But you can use SQL statements, and I'll show you how to do that here in a second. I'm going to open up an application and give you some examples on just how to do that. But again, built right into the product is some very easy configuration tools to go to databases that you don't need to know any of that SQL programming. Before I hand it over to Doug, what I'm going to do is show you here. This is an RFID badge management application that I talked a bit about in one of the last webinars that we did, but I thought it relevant here because it shows some of the database, how you can connect up to the database, and wanted to point out that now this application is on our website for free, available as a sample application for download. It's called RFID Badge Management. And what it does, let me run it here real quick. Basically, it assumes that you have a SQL database running, and if the database is not present, if it does not have its database, then it goes ahead and creates the database, creates the table, and allows you to start populating badges. So this might be like a name tag badge that you might scan at the front door to get into the building or get into a secure area. So, for example, one of the things that I've done here is I've loaded Doug in here. Let me go ahead and insert a new badge. So I'm going to create myself here. I will be ABC123. That's my new badge number, and put my name in here. And now that is added to the database. This is our grid object, and this is configured to go right to that SQL database and grab that information. I can also delete users. So, for example, this user here, maybe he's left the premises, maybe he's only in temporarily. I can delete them. It confirms whether or not I want to do that, and I can go ahead and delete them from the database. Another thing that this will allow you to do is scan a badge. So, for example, if you want to test it, or maybe somebody has lost their badge and somebody turned it in, they can scan this and pull this up and go ahead and type in. Let's say that somebody found my badge on the ground, which is never a good thing, ABC123, and I'll go ahead and type that or click enter, and it can tell you that it was me and my badge number, and it pulled that from the database. So let me go show you a little bit how these are configured here. I'm going to exit this application. One of the first things that this application does is it has a named connection. Usually within InduSoft Web Studio, or one of the first things that you do is create a connection using the default database. This one is a little bit different, and it creates a named connection here under the Tasks tab. It creates a connection, and we've given it a name of DB for database. Now what this does excuse me, is instead of building a connection string by using this browse button here, what it does is it defines, let's see, I'm going to have to, let's see, one of the things that it does is that it builds this connection string in the background, and then uses it, replaces this as a string. Sorry for, I got interrupted there. If I could get somebody from Austin to let me know if I'm still connected and everything is okay, if somebody could type that in the chat window. I keep getting a couple of different calls from a few people here, so I just want to make sure I'm still connected. Doug, are you on there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, good. Well, again, I mentioned earlier that I had some storms rolling through, and then I heard some thunder and lightning, and we got a little bit of a power bump, and then I got 2 calls from our Austin office, and then I was just making sure that I was still on. Okay, good. It sounds like we're on. Thanks. I'll connect back up with you in a second. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody, for letting me know. Okay, so to continue on here, sorry I was interrupted there, but basically this uses a tag called connection string, and inside of curly brackets, it then gets replaced during runtime, and I'll show you where that gets defined. Where that gets defined here is in the startup script, And we define, here in this Vbscript, we define the server name. In this case, it's a local copy of SQL Server Express. And then it builds that connection string. Here in this Vbscript, whenever you use a $ in front of a tag name, it treats it as an InduSoft tag. So it's using that connection string, or it's defining it here, and what it does is it builds this connection string. It's telling me I'm using the SQL OLADB provider. It's using the integrated Windows security, and the data source that it's pulling from is, and then it concatenates the server name, and the server name is defined up here. This way it makes it a little bit configurable, and I've left a few different things in here so that we can not use the built-in security. We would have to use the database security, and then let's see, what is this one? This one is using Microsoft Jet, which would allow us to go to an Access database, and then this one's not using the built-in security but goes to the same server name. Anyway, moving along. What it then does is it takes a Vbscript variable and builds a SQL command in here, and then it eventually concatenates the table name in here, this catalog name. It treats as a table name, and what it does is it selects all the records from the database and it has this table name in here. Well, then what it does is it comes down here a little bit later on, and it says if there's no rows in the database, then the database doesn't exist, and it go ahead and creates the database for us. So it automatically detects if there's no database created, and it creates it for us. If it does successfully create that database, then it calls this tables or create tables main procedure, which can be found here under the Global tab, under Procedures, and then you can see here that it does a similar thing. It builds this SQL command by starting off with this Vbscript variable, and then it concatenates, it adds onto itself, and it adds two columns or two fields within that database, one for the badge, one for the user, and then sets that up as a primary key, and then eventually executes this to the database, which is back here under this database name. That's where the DB comes from, and then the SQL, it has built this entire string here and treats that as a SQL command that it sends to the database. So that's how it sets up those tables, creates the database, sets up the table, and then we can go back to the screens, and on the main screen here you can see on each button, in this case we're inserting into the database the badge and the username that we've prompted for up here. And on the delete button, we do something similar where we actually delete from the Rfid table within that database. We also then use this reload function that triggers this grid object that we have here. And the grid object here under Advanced is looking for this reload where it refreshes that from the database. Now this is set up to go to the database, and here's the database settings, and it uses that same connection string, and it talks to that table RFID. So you can see this third button here, it's, let's see, what is this doing? It is select all from RFID, and it goes and searches where it matches that badge number that was typed in. So you can see how this SQL works, or how this Vbscript sends SQL to the database through that named connection. If you need a good example of this, again, this RFID badge management application is on our website, and you can download that and download InduSoft Web Studio version 7.1 Service Pack 1 and give it a try. Take a look at it and see how it works if you need some examples. So with that, I think I'm going to hand things over to Doug. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions, please feel free to put those into the Q&A panel or the chat panel on the WebEx, and we'll get to those after Doug is done presenting. So Doug, with that, go ahead and unmute yourself, and then I'm going to hand you over the presentation capabilities here.
All's good?
And there you go, yes.
Great. Thank you very much, and thank you for allowing me to participate in this webinar. Again, my name is Doug Oxford, and our company name is Oxford and Ewing Engineering. We're an electrical engineering firm, and we've been involved in SCADA and plant performance and electrical engineering services since 1998. We first used InduSoft for productivity and performance solutions, as well as SCADA systems for the water wastewater industry back in 2007, and have been using them ever since. We have a a diverse client list. Main point being that we use InduSoft for applications for manufacturing, for agricultural applications, and also in the municipal sectors. The product that I want to talk about today, if I can get it to move on, here we go, is ProMon. It's a production monitoring system that we built. The primary objective is to improve productivity through the use of accurate plant floor data. ProMon is a complete solution that can be set up and collecting and reporting in a fairly short period of time. It's scalable, and it is designed to collect all the critical information you need for productivity improvement. There's really two components to ProMon. One is a real-time production performance module, and the second is a visualization or analysis module, which is similar to the business intelligence dashboard that Scott was just showing you. In both cases, we have numerous reports associated with these products to help you drive in and see what the issues are and where your productivity can be improved. Standard data collection architecture. We choose to work with Ethernet wherever possible, but we know that that's not always possible. So we have worked in many different facets to get the data out of the plant floor, be it Ethernet I/O, to tie into systems that just don't have communications, or serial connections, or wireless connections, or basically whatever it takes to get the information out. The real-time monitoring component is the backbone of the ProMon system, and it is a InduSoft-based portion of the ProMon system. We collect basic machine data such as production counts, good and bad, running state, faulted state, blocked and starved states, part types or part numbers, fault reason codes, cycle times, all the data typically used in an assessment to determine what's going on in the plant floor. However, not all the applications have access to all of this information, so we can use a subset of this information and still get meaningful results from that. The ProMon uses a SQL Server database for not just the generated data, but also for all configuration for the project as well. The real-time interface, the portion that is developed using InduSoft, gives us the front end, the real-time front end of what's going on. Basically, we try to mimic this the screens to look as much like the plant floor as possible, so it's fairly easily recognizable for operations. In this case, there's multiple lines with multiple machines per line, all set up with templates that give the basic critical information the client was looking for. So in this case, they have the machine state, the number of good parts in the bottom left, and then the faulted duration in minutes in the bottom right. As well, we can utilize lots of color to make it even more recognizable for such things as and-on displays. So people are made aware quickly of what's going on the plant floor. And we also have overlaid the information right on an actual line layout. And this, the demo that I will be showing is actually this application. And what it is a pallet-based line, 16 stations. And each station has its own performance information on it, as well as the overall line information, what parts are being built, and number of resets, recess ratios, that sort of thing, from a line basis point of view. Most of the data we try to get out of the machine itself. You can't always do that. one of the things we run up across is getting fault codes. So we do have access to, or we do incorporate windows that operators can use to enter downtime reason codes where we cannot get the data directly from the PLC. You can see on this this screen, you can utilize passwords and verifications to make sure that the right people are putting in the right data. The second component is the web-based component, and this is the reporting component that allows you to drive in and really see what's going on in the historical data that's been collected. Reports such as production counts, machine uptime, running block starved, downtime and reason codes, OE calculations, performance over time, and Pareto analysis all allow you to identify, the downtime reasons and root out the causes, determine the actual versus design performance, and really understanding what's preventing your productivity from reaching 100%. The ProMon comes with a complete set of reports. The actual reports you could utilize are really sort of based on the type of data that's being collected. But we have a complete set of reports that we will include in there. And if the client requires additional reports, we can definitely add those in as well. The web reporting interface is a fairly simple menu-driven interface with the predefined reports, very easy to use. As you drive into this production report, you get the header that basically tells you what you're looking at, what are the time frames are. It gives you a graphical representation of the data as well as a tabular representation of the data, and also allows you to export the data to Excel if you would like to. You can go into the tabular form and sort on the columns, and when you do, the graphical representation will adjust accordingly, so you can do the analysis that way. Of course, you can also filter on date, time. I also have additional filtering aspects that can be set up, such as line numbers, plant 1, plant 2, anything that you need to do to break down and drill into what you want to take a look at. So this can be defined as well. And some examples of these I guess, sorry about that. Okay, we won't do the examples. There was just a few examples. I can go over those later. I'd like to switch over to the demo now. And as I said before, this is a demo of an application where the line is a pallet line, 16 stations moving through. What we have set up is you see it on here, is a simulator as well. This allows us to control each of these stations from a simulation point of view, so that we can show the data as we force different stations into different modes. So I just put station 20 into blocked. On this overview, then, each station has its own performance data, performance template. The template on these are all definable by the customer. It's just what data you need to see, would like to see. In this case, you can see that there is the machine state, the number of bad parts, and the fault counts is being shown up. Another type of template can be shown here is the second one, which shows the machine state, good parts, bad parts, the fault duration, and the last cycle time. So how you like to see this displayed is entirely up to you. These are completely definable and will be built to suit your needs. As well as you can drive into here and get pop-ups that can show you additional information, In this case, we have a pop-up for an OEE calculation based on the availability, the quality, and the performance of each one of these stations. I've been asked about the OEE calculation. These calculations are straightforward calculations and entirely based on what the customer requires. It's not a canned number. It's based on how the customer calculates their OEE. Another type of drill-in might be this pop-up, which gives you more detail on the machine states, the durations, the occurrences, good and bad parts, cycle times, rated cycle times, and timers that are associated with that. Again, all of these are configurable. You can do whatever you need to do with them with the data that you have. Now, with all that data, we have a number of different ways of viewing the data. The first is the states that we look at, and this is where the InduSoft is timing all the aspects of the data coming in. You can see there all 16 machines are down one column, and now we have each of these machines running a timer based on what state they're in. So most of them are running the timer in the cycling state because they're in the cycling state, but a few are running additional timers because they're in other states. So you can take a look at each one of these stations and take a look at the status of the stations relative to the overall time that is spent and see how it's doing relative to what it's supposed to be doing. In this case, it's been blocked 29% of the time and cycling or busy 71% of the time. We also allow you to compare one or all these stations to see relatively how they're all doing. So if you take a look at the station busy, you can take a look at what the relative durations on busy are for all the stations, and actually the number of occurrences associated with them. So one occurrence means they've been busy for the entire time. They have not stopped. There's a number of different options here. Reset downtime. In this case, station 10 is the only one with reset. Reset in this case means a fault. So it's had 2 occurrences of a total of just over 424 minutes of downtime. So it allows you to compare all the different stations to see how they're doing against each other. The second way is we take a look at the resets, which again are the faults. We can take a look at the status of the resets, the number of occurrences and the durations of resets throughout all the stations, and in graphical form as well. Obviously, station 10 has got the worst case here with 20 occurrences and over 8,000 seconds of seconds of downtime. You can take a look at it on a per pallet basis if that's the type of system you have, and on part type if that's the type of system you have as well. So you can break it down in a number of different ways to give you the most benefit of seeing what's going on. Reset details allows you to take a look at the actual resets that happened on each of the stations. Now, if we just focus in on op station number 10, we can take a look and see when they happened, when they started, when they finished, what the fault code was, what pallet, the pallet ID at the time of the fault, and a description of what the fault was. Also, within production, you have the ability to look at every transaction that's sent to the database with respect to the change of state. So when it goes from a cycling to a faulted, or a cycling to a blocked, or a blocked back to a cycling, that will be updated in the database, and we see all these transactions happening. So cycling stopped and started. It ran for 17 seconds, and then there was a downtime or fault for 4 seconds, cycling again for 7, and then downtime for 420. Mind you, these numbers are just me pushing on the simulator, so they don't make a lot of sense. But the idea being that you can take a look and see what exactly is happening in the change of states with all these with all these stations. As well, on the bottom, you can see that we're generating sort of a graphical representation of what's happening of the actual happenings with the station versus what is scheduled. On their schedule, the green is basically scheduled cycling time. The red is break time. And these are just put in for reference sake at this point in time. But then the top shows the actual what's happening with the station. So it's idle, and then it went into a reset mode. So it gives you an idea of what's happening graphically with that station. We also look at part history. In the event, in this case, there's a number of details associated with a build of each one of the products, and we capture that and put it into the database for future reference and however you want to use it. So these are all products, and we're capturing the serial number, nest number, pallet ID. There is a lot of analog data, height, gap, forces. That's all being captured, almost like a birth history for each one of the parts. And all these are being stored in the database as well. And then again, trends to show this analog data if that's an important aspect to you. This is just a trend that's using a randomizer to generate the numbers. It doesn't mean anything, but trends are valuable, and the ones that within the part history of some of these heights, latch heights or something, if you want to watch them over time and make sure they're staying within a range, some of these trends can be very valuable to quickly look and see what's happening with that aspect. Okay, along with the views of all the actual generated data, we also have the configuration data, which is also all stored in the database. So database variables with respect to the machines, names, what line they're on if you have multiple lines, properties of the machines, the rated cycle times of the machines, the description of the machines. All that kind of data is stored as well in the database. It gives you access to modify it, those who have the security to do that, which allows for fairly simple modifications as required. Also, the project variables are all available, as well as the line variables. So if you had multiple lines, you could add them in and put whatever relevant data is needed for those lines. In addition to that, we also have like a fault active duration timer and the idle maximum duration timer. These things are important in the sense that if you go into a fault duration, in this case for 30 seconds, something will happen to alert operations, maintenance, just escalate the alarm to get somebody's attention, so that it could be through a flashing alarm, flashing lights on the end on. It could be a horn. It could be a page. It could be a phone call. So these timers give you that ability to set what kind of time is reasonable for you to respond, need to respond to both a fault and if a machine is sitting idle. We also set up all the shifts, and in this case it's just the shifts, but there may be more relevant data as well. Start and end times and on the shifts, the rated cycle times, again, descriptions. If you had more lines, you could fill it all in, as well as the data logging associated with that timing, where we data log the data from that shift, at what time we can do it, and all the information associated with that, so from a troubleshooting point of view, you can make sure that things are going well. So that, in a nutshell, is the real-time portion of it, and it really comes down to the collection of the data stored in the database and bringing out visually how you best want to see it. The second portion is similar, like I said, to the business intelligence dashboard, and it's a means by which to view and analyze historical data so that you can take a look and try to determine what's happening with your system and how to deal with it. The reports that we have are shown right here on this ProMon system. We have production counts by day availability, downtime, OEE, raw data, data integrity, machine data. All these are predetermined reports. We have additional reports. In this case, these are the ones that were relevant to this application. So if you have other reports, we probably have them, and we can keep them in there. And as well, we can develop new reports as a customer requires. So with availability, you can take a look. No, that's not what I wanted. The report starts out with a header showing company name, what the report is, and the information with regards to the report, the start and end time of the report, gives you the actual graphical representation. The green cycling, the blue is blocked, and the white is starved on a per machine basis, as well as all the all the tabular information that's driving out this graph. All of it can be exported to Excel, and you can drive down in onto a specific machine if you like to get more details on that machine as well. So, as you see on other reports I'll show you, you can drive down into various aspects of the report. Currently, the sorting is on the machine and the direction is ascending, but I can pick blocked, and I can pick it again, and I can get sorting on blocked, and it's descending. And this graph will update according to what I am sorting on this tabular table. Machine data. This is for op station number 10. We can take a look at the good parts, bad parts, cycling time, faulted time, block time, and starve time for that 1 week period, or you can define it however you need to, and select other stations as well. The data in here is sometimes doesn't make a lot of sense, again, because we're just developing it on simulators, so it doesn't make a lot of sense, but just to keep that in mind. Also, you get access to the raw data, which will give you essentially everything that we're using to develop all of these charts and all of these graphs. And again, that can be exported to Excel if you need to pull it in somewhere else and do some further analysis on it. So that's essentially the two systems that we have, the real-time and the historical analysis system for the ProMon. Be happy to answer any questions you have regarding that, and be happy to talk to you further if you have any interest in learning more about it. You can give us a call, or like Scott said, give InduSoft a call. With that, I think I'll pass it back to you, Scott.
Doug, thank you very much. We really appreciate it. Really impressed with what you guys have come up with. And I think there's a couple of questions here. One specifically for you, Doug. One question is, what were the challenges in implementing InduSoft Web Studio and or ProMon in a large-scale environment like a medium to large-size plant?
The challenge, I don't know, we probably would be small to medium that we have done to this point. The challenge for us is always the architecture, getting the data back in, finding a way to do it in a cost-effective manner, and that continues to be the issue. From an InduSoft point of view, it's very flexible. We've had some great success. So one of the things that we did do in this application is all the timing and stuff. Originally, when we started this, we tried to put a lot of the timing within the PLC, and we found that really kind of limited what we could do, because a lot of the machines out there just don't have that ability to do it. So what we're doing now is just taking the raw signals in for cycling, for starve, for backed up, for whatever we can get, and we're doing all the timing within the InduSoft package, and that was a big step forward in allowing us to move into a lot more machines out there that have less intelligence and don't necessarily have a PLC on them.
Great, Doug, thank you. Once again, I think the other questions are for InduSoft or for myself. One of the questions is the business intelligence dashboard template separate software? What's the cost? So on and so forth. It is a separate add-on. Yes, there is an additional cost to it. Please contact your InduSoft distributor or certified integrator or whoever you contact for your InduSoft product. You can also contact InduSoft directly. A slide that I'll show you here in just a moment. In fact, I'll switch over to that now. And let's see. Go back here, share my desktop, and get back into the PowerPoint. And even though we're still in the Q&A, here's the information that you can use to get contact InduSoft. Info@InduSoft you can contact. A little bit more about the Business Intelligence Dashboard template. It actually is a template or a project that we've created within InduSoft Web Studio, and it's a project that runs in our runtime, but we've found a way that to license a runtime application, so you have to do that. And it's a small charge, relatively speaking, to the grand scheme of things and what it can save you in your process. But again, please contact your InduSoft provider or InduSoft. Email us at info@indusoft.com for that information. Another question that came in was, let's see, somebody created an InduSoft application to read and write data to a SQL Server database, but when they're using thin clients, the data was not able to read from the database. Any ideas? A couple ideas come to mind. What I have here, and hopefully you guys can see this, it looks like you can, is the InduSoft Web Studio help system. And down here, the last line item in the contents is the Vbscript, and within here is the Vbscript interfaces within the software. Within InduSoft Web Studio, there are many places, I think it's 7 or 8 different places that you can run Vbscript or use Vbscript. For example, here in the Tasks tab, you can have the startup script, or if you insert, you can actually give this a name based on script number 1. The application that I showed you a minute ago here on the screens, on these buttons, the command animation is another place that you can use it. And then within the screen itself, there's a screen script for Vbscript. Now, the reason I'm pointing out all these different interfaces is here in the help system, these interfaces are defined, whether it's a global procedure, graphic script, command animation, so on and so forth. But in this column here, it tells you where the script actually executes. And for example, the global procedures are not actually even executed. They're just subroutines or function calls that you call from one of these other interfaces. And I'm suspecting that when you're trying to read and write to and from the database, based on the person that asked this question, is they're trying to do this from either the startup script or a script group or via some interface that is not actually executing the Vbscript. Another thought process that you can do here is maybe it's the triggering mechanism and where the variables are defined that's actually triggering that. One of the things that you can do is use the thin client to, let's say, press a button, that button, the tag itself executes the script rather than the button executing the script. It either executes in one of these other interfaces or things of that nature. Another thing that can be done for troubleshooting of Vbscript and SQL for that matter is down here in the output window. If you turn on settings and turn on your database messages and insert the date and the time, that can give you error messages, show you the information that any SQL commands that are going across and maybe they're not formatted properly or things of that nature. And another thing that you can do is when you have the database gateway running down here, and I don't happen to have it at this moment, but down in your toolbar, you can actually unhide that database gateway and see more database messages as they go across. So sometimes that can help you troubleshoot those. And one of the other things that I found is, and I think I might even actually still have it. Yeah, I do. In this button here, I'm using the trace function. Now, the trace function is an InduSoft Web Studio function, and I'm using it because I have the $ in front of it. I can use it within the Vbscript. I wanted to see, as I was building this SQL statement, if I had all the colons and commas and values in the right spot. So one of the last things that I did before I called the database is I sent a trace message and using the SQL as what I'm going to be sending out, and I turned on the trace messages here in the output window, and then I can see what I'm doing. Just a quick flash of something that should be coming out fairly shortly here in the next few weeks or so. In Service Pack 2, we're actually going to have Vbscript debugging tools, so you should look for that when that comes. If you already have a version 7.1 product, either 7.1 or 7.1 Service Pack 1, Service Pack 2 will be a free upgrade. So, let's see. Any other questions at this point? I see one more question. Somebody asking about being able to write C# script. Currently, the answer is no to that. We have two different scripting languages built into the product right now. The InduSoft built-in scripting language has been there since the very early days, and then quite a few years ago we added Vbscript based on customers requesting a more standard or a more familiar technology or scripting language, and we chose Vbscript so that it would be multi-platform compatible. So we can use Vbscript on Windows CE, the embedded operating systems, the desktop and server operating systems, and then the users don't have to change their scripting at all. So currently we do not support C# or anything other than Vbscript or our built-in scripting language, but with those technologies you can get just about anything that you want to do. So no to the C#. So at this point I don't see any other questions coming in. We're right about at the time limit anyway. I'd like to, Doug, I'd like to thank you very much for your presentation. I really enjoyed seeing what you've done with the product, and I'd like to thank all of our attendees as well. Hopefully you enjoyed this, got something out of it, and also don't forget to, when you get the survey, to fill that out with your name and address, and we'll send you off a free T-shirt. And please join us for future webinars. Let us know your feedback. If you have any other requests or something you'd like to see, please let us know when you get that survey. And again, thank you very much, everybody, for attending. And that's the end of today's webinar, and have a great day.